Hey, quick story for you. This weekend I walk into a restaurant with my 4 kids. So it's just me and my 4 children between the ages of 9. I got 3 daughters, 9, and my son is 3. So you can imagine me walking into a restaurant. It's kind of an awkward sight. You see this man with his 4 little white children. And I sit them down and they're so well behaved. I have great children. In fact, the music started playing in the restaurant and 2 of them got up and started dancing. So they were kind of entertaining people as well. But anyway, I sit them down while I go up to order their food. And I get a tap on my shoulder, and of course I turn around thinking like, who's got to go to the potty? When in fact it was a beautiful young 15-year-old girl who I could tell was really nervous by the way she was standing there looking at me, and she says, I know you're Elliot Hulse, I watch your videos, and I just want to thank you so much for many of the messages you share through your video because they have been supportive to me on my growth, in my growth and maturity as a woman growing in that way. And I thought it was fascinating, not because someone tapped me on my shoulder and said, Elliot, I watch your videos, it happens all the time, but because it was a young woman. Not typical. Usually it's a boy, 15 to about 35, taps me on my shoulder and says, Elliot, it's great to meet you, thank you so much for your videos, I'm deadlifting more, and I don't have problems with my mom and girlfriend any longer. Something like that. And we take a picture, and it's become kind of routine. But it was a young girl. And it stuck out in my mind. It kind of was a red flag there. It was kind of like, well, that's odd, that's interesting. I know that there are women that watch my videos. It's not that I know that there aren't many of them, but probably about less than 10%. So to meet a young girl who's actually shared the fact that my videos have helped her was interesting to me. The next thing I know, I went home that day and I checked my Facebook messages, and I got a message from a woman who I haven't spoken to in about 2 years. She used to be my massage therapist, but she had a baby and she moved, and we haven't really spoke. We really had no relationship whatsoever, besides the fact that she was my massage therapist 2 years ago. And she says to me in this email, Elliot, you've been showing up in my dreams, recurring over and over again. I'm having these dreams about where I need to go in my life, and some support that I might need in the next evolution towards becoming a stronger version of myself. That's in my words, but for her basically is, you know, making choices about who she wants to become. And you were there in my video, in my dreams, Elliot. Now, of course, I watched some of your videos, but it was just interesting. I decided to reach out with you just to let you know that I'm grateful for the advice that the dream version of Elliot gave to me while I was trying to make some decisions in my life. Again, you know, red flag goes off. I'm like, this is strange. Again, not so strange that someone is thanking me for ideas that I may have supported them with, but because it was a woman. Again, I know that there are women out there that watch my videos, but twice in the same day. Finally, that evening, my wife sends me a voicemail, sends me an email. And the email is from a young girl, and I want to read you the message I'll read you parts of the message from this young lady. She goes on to say, Elliot, recently I have this thought that I was planning on sharing with you. I've been holding it back, but I decided that it's really important for me to share this with you. Please keep reading and tell me your thoughts. She says, Elliot, I'd like to encourage you to direct your message towards both men and women. I feel as though you're selling yourself short by primarily making men your audience. As a woman, your message has been very applicable to me in my life, both directly and indirectly. I say indirectly because you have, to a significant extent, shaped my boyfriend's worldview paradigms, which in turn has positively affected me. So I'm grateful for both the direct and indirect impacts your messages have had on my life. And then she goes on and gives all the reasons why, and she's very convincing, why I should broaden my message in order to reach not just men but women, because these words are very potent and supportive to women in their growth as well, and that I shouldn't see men and women as differently, and recognize that we're all growing in the same way, although we have, you know, penis and vagina. Very intelligently laid out. I mean, the girl knows how to write, she knows how to convince, and she just encourages me, goes on several paragraphs of why I should, during this time of ambiguity where I'm evolving personally, Elliot Hulse, to take into consideration that the next evolution of you includes a message that is encompassing of both sexes. And she got me thinking because, you know, they say when you get 3 knocks at the door, you should start paying attention. And all within a span of 12 hours, I had a young girl come up to me in the restaurant. I had a message from a woman I haven't spoken to in years, and this young lady sends me a message about how my words have supported her and her boyfriend, and that perhaps I should broaden my message for women. Well worth considering, well worth thinking about, and something that I had to really meditate on. Few ways I'd like to approach this conversation. The very first one is that I want you to know, when you see me in these videos, when you hear my voice, and when you receive my message, it comes from my purest authenticity. It comes from my purest sentiment. I don't shape my message for anyone. In fact, the way I speak to you is the way I speak to myself. And all of the ideas, all of the wisdom, all the paradigms, all the tips, tricks, and secrets that I share with you through these videos are the same ones that have supported me in my own growth, in my own life. I don't have a message that I've formulated for mass consumption. I'm becoming the strongest version of myself, and I'm sharing that journey with others who are also on the journey of becoming the stronger version of themselves. I'm just speaking from my heart, and I happen to be a dude. I happen to be a guy. I happen to have been an athlete. I played football. I grew up in a locker room. I grew up with brothers and uncles and cousins. It was mostly men in my life. A great father, great parents, professional strongman, again, it's just men. I own a gym, and in my gym I train baseball players, football players, powerlifters, strongmen, mostly men. I began mentoring a lot of the men that I trained in my gym, young men, high school, college age young men in my gym, because they would ask me questions about life after our workout sessions. It's who I am. Do you see, I never went out there and said, like, in marketing, one of the things they teach you is you've got to choose your demographic and then create an avatar. This is what they say. Who is the market you're going after? And when you do that, right, because I don't even consider it marketing, when you go after your market, you want to make sure that they fit other parameters outside of that which you just are pleased by. So in other words, I'm pleased by talking to young men. But if I want to make money, you know who I should talk to? 14-year-old girls. Because 14-year-old girls are the biggest, most prolific market in the world, right? That's why Justin Bieber is so popular. So you gotta start considering these things. Shit never worked for me. It never worked for me to think of it that way. I talk to you the way I talk to myself, and that is it. If you enjoy hearing the things I have to say, good, great. If you can't stand the things I have to say, or that doesn't resonate with you, good, great, it doesn't matter. I've used the analogy before with the bird that sings from the branches of the tree. And someone walks by and says, boy, you know what, bird, your song is so beautiful, I love you. The bird's just like, whatever, I'm just singing my song. You like it? Great. Don't hold me to it. Somebody comes by later on, throws rocks at the bird and says, birds, you're so fucking annoying. Why don't you get down from there? You woke me up this morning and you're making my life miserable. When the bird dodges a rock and says, look, dude, I'm really just doing what a bird does. I sing, and whether you like it or not, this is what I'm going to continue doing. And that's how I make these videos. So I wanted to make that very clear to you at first, right? I'm not really formulating my message, I'm just talking, I'm speaking in the same way that the bird sings. Whoever receives it, great. Whoever can't receive it, you gotta understand it was never my objective to create it for receiving in that way, right? Everybody. The other thing is that you shed light on something that I never even considered, because of course I've thought, women would benefit from some of the things that I have to say, and perhaps I should broaden my message. Don't think it hasn't crossed my mind. But you changed my mind completely, and I don't think you know what you did when you sent me this message. When you sent me this message, you perhaps thought that I might change my tune and feminine up my language a little bit, right? Be a little bit more like Dr. Oz, right? And be hold you by your hand and be a little bit more of a gentleman instead of saying fuck and pussy every other word. Right? Maybe I can get through to Elliot and he'll do that. But I want to thank you, young ladies, specifically young lady who sent me the email, because of this very line in your email. Both directly and indirectly you have impacted me. I say indirectly because you have to a significant extent shaped my boyfriend's worldview paradigms. The greatest gift that I can give to women of the world is to shape their boyfriends in a way that they find pleasing, right? I'm not turning men into women panderers. I'm showing men how I've been able to navigate my life up until this point, to be able to produce, to be resourceful in the way that I am to my wife, to my children, to my audience, to my craft, to my work, to the things that I do. And if that supports men in becoming stronger versions of themselves, that means you have more good men to choose from, women. The world that we live in is designed around pleasing women because women spend more money than men. So whether you look in magazines, you turn on the TV, the message is always pussied up. It's always feminined up, right? Make it so that women can enjoy it. I'm in the fitness market, I get it. You're right, you want to create products that women like too, right? So make sure you put a little bit of green and pink in your sales letter. I get it, because women spend more money. But my objective is not to broaden my market so that I could appeal to those who are not necessarily of my vibration, right? I'm vibrating with dudes. Nor is it to broaden my market so that I can make more money. It's to be completely authentically, transparently myself. And if doing so makes men stronger, women will have better lives as well. We've been gypped in a lot of ways, us men. You see, women, and I want you to understand that too. And this doesn't come from a resentful place. It comes from, this is what I would have liked when I grew up, and that's why I give it to the men who watch my videos. We've been gypped in so many ways, it's sad. It should bring tears to all of our eyes. But our ancestors knew that girls become women by biology. Through your biology, you go from womanhood, from girlhood to womanhood, right? What happens? You start bleeding from your vagina. Congratulations, you can have babies now. You're a woman. Nature gives you that. Nature doesn't give men a delineated period to the point in which we become men. But our ancestors created rites of passages, and we had communion between men that was unique in the way that men need to be able to work with each other, so that the young boy can become a man, and so that he is a resourceful member of the community. He becomes a warrior, a brave. He goes out into the wilderness and he has to have experiences. I've read once, I think through Joseph Campbell, about an African tribe where if a young man doesn't kill a lion, he's not allowed to mate with any of the young girls in the tribe. We don't have that anymore as men. I would have liked to experience that. I got glimpses of it through sports, glimpses of it through just communion with some of the men in my life and also some of the boys in my life. I thought about joining the military in order to continue in that growth, but ultimately I ended up where most young men end up, and that's lost in a world that doesn't honor, appreciate, respect, develop, uphold masculinity and all that masculinity could be in its full tenderness and aggression. I spent my life, and I continue to spend my life trying to learn and figure out how to live in this way, in a world that's almost against men. Of course, men rule the world, right? The oligarchy. And so it's all men up there pulling our strings. That's a dysfunctional type of man. And there are all different types of shadow men living in the world that makes it look like masculinity is somehow aggressive and evil and mean. And that's why we've got so many feminists. But that's not the case. That's not a fully grounded, fully self-actualized, balanced man. And that's not the type of male orientation that I seek to develop in myself or those who are inspired by my videos. And I do this for myself because that's what I want. I want to be the strongest version of the masculine. And I share my challenges and my successes in that path with the other young men and men in general who need to hear that because no one else spoke that language to them, to us. So once again, for all of you women who watch my videos, and I appreciate you greatly, know that my greatest service to you is not the direct communication I have with you and your challenges as females in this world. And I know you have many, and you've got your role models, and you need your role models. But because of what I'm able to do with and for the men in your lives. Done.